In 1950, with North Korea's invasion of the South, the US intervened in the region with UN forces. The war became the first major hot conflict of the Cold War, costing millions of lives. The Incheon landing, led by Douglas MacArthur, was one of the most critical maneuvers that changed the course of the war. Although the war ended with an armistice signed in 1953, the Korean peninsula remains divided to this day. The US directly intervened in the war by supporting South Vietnam to prevent the spread of communism. Intense jungle warfare, guerrilla tactics, and the use of napalm formed the darkest aspects of the war. The war led to massive protests and a societal division within American public opinion. With the fall of Saigon in 1975, the war ended, marking one of the most controversial defeats in US history. The US sent troops to the Dominican Republic in 1965 to prevent the formation of a second Cuba. Under Operation Power Pack, over 40,000 American troops landed on the island. The intervention aimed to halt the Civil War and prevent the establishment of a communist regime. After a year-long occupation, American forces gradually withdrew following elections. During the Lebanese Civil War, the US sent Marines to Beirut as part of a peacekeeping mission. In 1983, a bombing attack on the American barracks killed 241 US servicemen. This event led the US to question its military presence in the region and decide to withdraw. The intervention served as a bitter lesson on the limits of military power in the complex Middle East. In 1983, the US intervened in Grenada with Operation Urgent Fury after a Marxist coup. The official reason for the operation was to ensure the safety of American medical students on the island. After only a few days of fighting, the island came completely under American control. This intervention was seen as the first quick and decisive victory for the US military after Vietnam. The US invaded Panama to overthrow dictator Manuel Noriega, whom it accused of drug trafficking. Operation Just Cause was the largest military deployment since Vietnam at that time. Psychological warfare tactics were employed around the Vatican embassy, where Noriega was hiding. As a result of the intervention, Noriega surrendered and was taken to the US for trial. Following Iraq's invasion of Kuwait, a US-led coalition launched Operation Desert Storm. The war was the first modern conflict where smart missiles and advanced technology were broadcast live on television. The ground offensive, lasting only 100 hours, completely expelled the Iraqi army from Kuwait. Although Kuwait was liberated, Saddam Hussein remained in power in Iraq after the war. The US launched Operation Restore Hope to deliver humanitarian aid to famine-stricken Somalia. However, the mission quickly evolved into a military operation clashing with local warlords. The downing of 2 Black Hawk helicopters in the 1993 Battle of Mogadishu became a turning point. Following the casualties, US troops completely withdrew from Somalia in 1995. The US intervened in Haiti to restore democratically elected President Jean-Bertrand Aristide, who had been overthrown by a military coup. Operation Uphold Democracy was achieved through diplomatic pressure without major conflict. American soldiers were deployed to the island to maintain order and oversee the democratic transition. This intervention was part of the US policy to protect democracy in a region it considered its backyard. NATO and the US launched an air campaign to stop Serbian forces' ethnic cleansing attempts in Kosovo. After 78 days of intense bombing, Yugoslavia was forced to back down. The intervention was long debated in international law, as it was conducted without UN approval. As a result of the operation, Kosovo came under international supervision and embarked on its path to independence. Following the 9/11 attacks, the US invaded Afghanistan to destroy al-Qaeda and overthrow the Taliban. This war became the longest military intervention in US history. Despite years of conflict and billions of dollars spent, the Taliban regained power in 2021. The chaotic withdrawal process in 2021 symbolized the dramatic and controversial end of the war. The US launched Operation Iraqi Freedom against Saddam Hussein's regime, citing the presence of weapons of mass destruction. The fall of Baghdad and the toppling of Saddam's statue became symbols of the operation's first phase. However, sectarian conflicts and resistance that began after the invasion led to years of chaos in the country. The failure to find the alleged weapons of mass destruction globally questioned the legitimacy of the war. During the Arab Spring, the US and its allies intervened to stop Muammar Gaddafi's attacks on his people. A no-fly zone was declared over Libya with a United Nations resolution to protect civilians. Airstrikes enabled the rebels to advance and resulted in the overthrow of the Gaddafi regime. After the intervention, Libya entered a period of instability and internal conflict that continues to this day. Upon the rise of the ISIS terrorist organization, the US launched a comprehensive air operation in Iraq and Syria. Collaborating with local partners on the ground, the US enabled the recapture of territories held by the organization. The intervention added a new dimension to the complex civil war in the region and became an arena for great power competition. Today, the US continues to maintain a military presence in some areas of northeastern Syria. In early 2026, due to escalating political crisis and humanitarian drama, the US intervened militarily in Venezuela. Pressure was exerted on the Maduro government by taking control of strategic points in Caracas. The operation aimed to establish democracy in the region and ensure the safety of humanitarian aid. The operation aimed to establish democracy in the region and ensure the safety of humanitarian aid.